Step right up, gather round. You look like a gambling person. Are you willing to bet against me? I can turn any wool block from one colour to another. That's right, any coloured wool block into any other coloured wool block. Don't believe me? Why not put your money where your mouth is and see me prove you wrong? Oh, you seem confident. All right, follow me. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft The Journey with me, bugmancx, and we're here in Minecraft Beta 1.7.3 in my living room. Today, we were supposed to be continuing our work on the sugarcane farm, but a mysterious wizard magician person appeared in my house and invited me to come out and see a magic trick, so, you know, that's thrown a spanner in the works. Why don't we head out there and see what this guy's all about? I'm so glad you could make it. Are you ready to see me transform one wool block color into another wool block color right before your eyes? I thought so. All right, let me just get a bit prepared here. Now, I need to find the perfect block. The perfect block that's going to channel the energy that I'm looking for. I'm getting some vibes from this one. I have a feeling this one could be it. All right. What I need to do is build a bit of a contraption. Now, if I place 4 blocks like so, with 2 blocks up here, and then place a redstone torch on the top, followed by some redstone dust here, here, and here, and then 2 more across like this. Now, I need to break out this block here, because I'm going to replace it with an upwards-facing sticky piston. And that one's being powered by the redstone, of course. Next to it here, I'm going to place another upwards-facing sticky piston, and I'm going to place a block right here on top of that one. Now, the next thing I need to do is place 2 more blocks right here and here, followed by 1 more sticky piston here with a block in front of it. And that is it. That is my magical contraption complete. Now, why don't you hop up with me, because I want you to get a good view so you can see exactly how this works. Well, hopefully you've got a pretty good view from up there, and I've added this glass tray along here because I do need to channel some water to do this. This machine is called the Transmutation Machine, and it allows us to transfer the properties of one block to another before our very eyes. All I need to do is place a wool block down there, like so, in the machine, place a redstone torch on top, and now take my bucket of water. Now, depending where I place the bucket of water in any one of these starting spots here, that will result in this white wool block being transmutated into any other color block, depending on where I start the water. So for example, let's see what happens if I place the water here in the very first slot. Wow, look at that. We've transformed the white wool into orange wool. Now, if I get rid of that, we can repeat the exercise by placing another piece of white wool here and a redstone torch. And let's say we do it from this slot here, the second one along. Let's see what color we get. We get magenta, or purple, pinky magenta. Ta-da! What an amazing machine. I guess I'll be keeping those diamonds. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. And by the way, you can keep the machine. Thanks for the diamonds. I better be on my way. Well, that magician guy might have made off with my diamonds, but I'm pretty satisfied because he left his contraption behind, and I think we can use this to our advantage. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. We have some redstone signal going this way, and then going into this piston, and this block up here seems to push across, which blocks the signal from going through, and that retracts the piston. Let's see if we can catch this machine in the act. If we pop up here, all we need to do is place any block like this, which is capable of containing additional metadata, and pop it in there. Then what do we have here? A redstone torch. When we place the redstone torch, let's see what happens. Okay, so The redstone torch powers this piston, which pushes this block out, and this redstone gets cut off. At the same time, this block down here retracts because it's no longer powered. So when I flood this thing with water, let me pop back up here and have another look. Maybe we can try it from the end or somewhere along here. If I flood this with water, as the water goes along and washes away the redstone torch, this breaks the circuit and these pistons flip again, pushing this block up. But at the same time, the metadata stored inside of this block gets changed to the metadata from the flowing water. Let me just pop out here and explain this a little bit more. Okay, let me create a little channel here so that we can have a stream of water. Okay, so flowing water like this contains metadata just like a wool block. Here's our source block, and then for each stage of the flowing water along, each of these flowing water blocks contains a different metadata value to determine how far along that particular piece of water is. So what happens is if I flood this channel up here, whatever metadata value happens to be the same from the water that intersects with this redstone torch, that's what gets replaced inside of this block when it gets pushed up. Oh, it's all a little bit weird, but look, let's see it in action. Let's pick this slot here, see the water flow, knock the torch out, and it replaces it with yellow, because whatever value yellow is must be the same metadata value as whatever this block would be if it was also the next flowing water block along. That stuff is always so difficult to explain, but I hope it did make sense. Now, there's so much more we can do with this machine. Let's start exploring our options. It should be possible for us to figure out which of each of these slots corresponds to which particular color of wool, simply by testing the machine. So again, if I place the white wool in here with a redstone torch and then put the bucket down, you can see that the first color is yellow. So if I mean orange. So if I pick that up and pop it here, we know that that one is orange. And if I repeat this experiment a few more times, each time extending the bucket along by one slot, we can figure out the code. We can crack the code. Now the thing is, got to concentrate. The thing is, this row here is capable of only transmuting 8 different colors, but that's okay because there is actually a trick with this machine. The magician was explaining it to me earlier, where we can create another channel off in this direction 1 block higher, and that will give us access to all of the rest of the colors as well. So let me just keep doing this for a little while, and we'll see what all of the colors are. Yellow. I've now figured out all of the color codings for each of these slots here, so we're able to make any of these colors, and I will get access to the other 8 colors shortly. But I did want to point out that it is also possible to use this machine to revert any of these back to white, and you can do that by just placing in any wool block into this slot like so, putting on a redstone torch, but instead of flooding it with water, which would give it the metadata value of whatever that water flowing block was, we'll just break this instead, because there's no metadata associated with white wool, and so the metadata effectively gets removed, reverting it to white wool. I've now added this second tray, which should give us access to all of the other colors, and it's important that this tray is 1 block higher than the other one down here, because when the water flows over the edge here, it will be flowing in a downwards direction, and I guess the metadata for downwards flowing water is different to the metadata for sideways flowing water. So let's do the same exercise again and see exactly what each block will give us. So we can place this, and then the bucket of water. And look at that, we get ourselves a cyan wool block, and so on and so forth. So again, like before, I've got a fair bit of work to do to get all of this worked out. Cyan, and what's the next one? Whoops. It's purple. Okay, so again, let me continue, and then after the wool blocks, there's even more stuff that this machine can do. And there we have it. You can see all of the different colors that this transmutation machine is capable of producing. Now this is 15 colors in total, including white. So there is one color missing, which looks like it's light gray. And the only reason for that is because after the water source block, water can only spread 7 blocks before it runs out. So unfortunately, that totals 14 plus the white block, which is 15. There are 16 colors. I guess you can see where I'm going with this, but that's okay. It's not capable of producing light gray. I can live with that. But it is capable of transmuting more than just wool blocks. Because this machine is capable of moving the metadata from one block to another, as long as that block is piston pushable and capable of holding that metadata, I can use any block I like. So let's use these 2 slabs here. These are just half slabs like this. So if I place them in here, just like that, and do exactly the same trick, we should now be able to transmute this double cobble slab block into sandstone. And this is actually a double sandstone slab. If we break it, you can see we get 2 sandstones back. So what I can do now is actually, let's take these and put them, how are we going to do this to make it obvious? Let's put it on this side. Okay, so the first row is for sandstone. Let's see what we get if we do it in the next one. Place those down and get our bucket of water. We get the oak slabs or the wood slabs, whatever you like to call them. So we'll put those here. Maybe we should just put a single one because we want to remind ourselves that this is actually for slabs, right? Okay, yes, looking good. Okay, next one on the list is I don't even know. We'll have to find out. I'm really excited for this. This is actually really fun. Okay, next one is here. Oh, okay, so that one is the one that converts the cobblestone slab, so we didn't get anything out of that we didn't already have. Next on the list, now this should start to get interesting, shouldn't it? We have to put that there first. We have this slot, which becomes the double slab. Now look at that. This is actually giving us access to the full double slab block, not the one with the line across the middle, which is what we would normally see. So I don't have any on me. Let me clear the nighttime and we'll take a closer look at this. And this is where it starts to get interesting because this machine is now giving us access to blocks that we wouldn't normally have access to. If you remember back a few episodes back, however many it was, we were having a look at the slab, which was introduced to the game. This one here is the regular slab. It has no associated metadata value, so in other words, it's just the default slab. This one here in slot 1 is actually different to this one. This one has a metadata value of 4. And what's different about them is, I'll show you. So if I pick these up again and place them down, you'll see that it's the classic double slab here with a line across the middle right here. Now, if I pick these up and place them down on the ground, you'll see that this is the single concrete slab. And the reason for that is because it just uses the same texture on all of its sides. But it looks really amazing as well because it's a nice solid block, whereas whenever we build with this block here, we always have to use that half slab style block. Whoops, the mouse went a bit weird. So this gives us access to this block within the game. Now I do have to be careful with this block, and I'll show you why, because if I just break these here and pick them up, you'll see that these are called the stone slab. These don't have a tooltip set within the game, so if I pick them up and then put them in my inventory, they're fine where they are as long as they're in that slot. I can even move them like this. I can select them like this, but as soon as I try and hover over them to get a tooltip, the game crashes because it doesn't know how to recognize these blocks and the game doesn't know how to handle that properly, so it just crashes. But it's all perfectly okay because thankfully the game only crashes, it doesn't lose any data. So I've put that half slab right here. Now what that should mean is that just like the white wool block, I expect this one to be the regular concrete style slab, and we can check that by just doing that, and yes it is. So if I pick that up and place it there, now we know which slab that slot converts to. Okay, so now it gets interesting. What's after this one? I have no idea, but I'm willing to find out. Let's put another couple of slabs down there and get our we need to put the redstone torch, get our trusty water bucket. Let's see what happens. Okay, it must be using this same type of slab, because even though the metadata value has increased by 1, I guess it's just using this texture because this is the same texture as the default slab. That would be my guess. And I can double check that by having a look at my NBT data. And I was correct. It's because each of these 2 slab types here currently has no texture associated with that metadata value. So we have a metadata value of 4, a metadata value of 5, and I'm sure we would get 6 and 7 and so on. So I am curious, of course, just to see what happens if we do one of the very high numbers. I'm pretty sure it'll be exactly the same as this, but I'm going to check anyway, just for my own sense of curiosity, you know? Okay, so let's say here. And yes, it looks like it has converted it again to one of these special slabs with a very high metadata value. That'd be about 14 or something like that, I imagine. So I don't think it's worth our while having too many of these on hand because they'll just get annoying and they won't stack together very well. But this has been interesting to explore. Now, this machine does have its limitations. It unfortunately doesn't work on things like stairs or leaves or anything like that, even though these block types also contain the additional metadata. And the reason for that is that they need to be solid because they need to be able to have a redstone torch placed on top of them. But that's okay, because it does give us access to special blocks like this one, and in the future, if any other similar blocks are added with additional block metadata with varieties like these, then we'll be able to access those using this machine as well. Now, the interesting thing is that this bug was actually discovered in 2012 in Minecraft release version 1.2, and the actual bug was backdated all the way to this version, beta 1.7.3. Now, when it was discovered in release version 1.2, whatever it was, that bug was almost immediately patched, and so unfortunately it didn't last in the game for very long. But as I said, because we're doing a historical journey, we're able to check this out in these versions where it actually exists and use it to our advantage. So I'm really excited to have access to this particular machine and see how we can use it in future episodes and in future versions as well. One of the other things I wanted to mention is that this machine also has a different version of it, which is capable of automating some of this workflow for you. It will add pistons into the mix here so that it will push blocks out of the machine as soon as they've been transmuted, and also it also adds features where you can use the pistons to turn these particular slots on and off, so you don't have to jump up here and replace the water manually. This particular design is by Cubfan135, and I also will add a link to that in the episode description if you want to go and check it out. But I think in the next episode, we might actually upgrade this thing to the newer version so that we can have a more autonomous solution in place. I also want to say thank you to one of my patrons, Marcato, who was helpful to me in trying to get this machine off the ground and running, because there are a couple of quirks that you need to take into account which I wasn't aware of, especially in these versions. In particular, down here where we have this secondary piston firing right here, this only works in certain locations in the world. So in order to find this particular spot, I had to come and rebuild this machine 2 or 3 times before I was able to find a particular coordinate like this where this piston would fire correctly and the machine would work. So that's just a little bit weird and a bit of a quirk that you should consider if you want to put this machine in your world as well. And there is one final thing I wanted to mention, which is this is just one design of this machine, and it is limited to these particular types of transmutations that we've seen. But I'm pretty sure there are some other designs out there which will actually allow us to do more than what we've just seen here today. So if you've got any links to tutorials or any other information about this particular mechanic, then I'd like to know. Leave me a comment in the description below or jump into my Discord and let me know there. But that's the end of today's episode, so I want to say thank you for watching, and a super special thank you to my amazing patrons who support me. If you want to do the same, you can. There are links to that down in the description below, as well as links to my Discord if you want to come and hang out. So until the next episode, this has been bugmancx. You've been watching Minecraft The Journey. Bye-bye.